This week on football, with the news that Kevin De Bruyne is leaving Manchester City at the end of the season, is he the best Premier League midfielder of all time? Hello everybody, welcome to This Week on Football. It is me, Alex. Thank you once again for joining me. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. It really helps us. If you haven't liked the video, maybe like it in a bit or something. I don't know, wait till you hear something you enjoy. If you haven't already followed me over on TikTok, I am at Alex Goalpost. I'm also on Instagram fairly recently as well, so you'll see all the best bits over on there at Alex Goalpost as well. Kicking the show off, we are talking about De Bruyne. I have got my team of the week as usual coming up, and at the end of the show, I've got my weekend treble. But first, let's get into this De Bruyne debate. Since obviously he's announced his retirement, all of the world of football has all of a sudden gone crazy. Kevin De Bruyne crazy. Like all of a sudden he has to be talked about when nobody was talking about him a couple of weeks ago. Kevin De Bruyne is an unbelievable player, a magician, an artist. But I have put together my top 5 Premier League midfielders, and we'll see whether he's on it. I do think there's obviously a really good debate here to say that, you know, he is the best midfielder of all time in the Premier League. Jamie Carragher's talked about it. Roy Keane's talked about it. Gary Neville's talked about it. All the ex-pros seem to believe that he is the best Premier League midfielder of all time. But I think we are very, very reactionary these days. It's very easy to get sold down the river by someone who's having a great season or just someone who's at the forefront of our mind. The greatest example I will use of that is Mo Salah. The Mo Salah versus Cristiano Ronaldo debate was the biggest topic a couple of weeks ago when Mo Salah was scoring and he couldn't stop scoring. Now he's kind of dried up on the goals. That debate settles down and all of a sudden it looks a little bit more stupid every day. This is why I do want to just relax on it, and I'm going to give you my top 5 midfielders of Premier League history. Starting off with number 5, Roy Keane. Roy Keane was a colossus at the kind of heart of that Manchester United team. He was a captain, the greatest captain, arguably, of the Premier League era. Could do everything with the ball, was neat, was tidy, never put a foot wrong, was a goal scorer back in the day, could tackle, was aggressive. He just felt like he was the all-round perfect midfielder. And when people ask him, you know, where did you play, a 6, an 8, a 10? He's just like, I'm a midfielder. I'm the guy who sits in midfield. I sit in that position, whether it's 6, 8, 10, I'll get forward. If I can get forward, I'll get back if one of the other midfielders is getting forward. It was simple, and he played the game in a simple way. I think he deserves a lot more recognition than he does get, and obviously, you know, he is someone who's quite, I don't know, he kind of feels like a bit like Gary Neville and a lot of these Man United players of the past. They feel a bit humble, and because they are so self-deprecating, it's almost like people forget who they were and what kind of players they were. They were fantastic players. Roy Keane is definitely up there with one of the best midfielders the Premier League's ever seen. Number 4, maybe the best goal-scoring midfielder of all time. It's Frank Lampard. Frank Lampard's numbers are a joke. Still to this day, have you seen a midfielder like a number 8 get this amount of goals? He's still in like kind of the all-time Premier League top goal scorers list. He's got over 100 goals, maybe 140. I can't even think how many goals he's got and assists. The numbers that he produced for an entire career, and then obviously, you know, winning the Champions League, taking his team, driving them to European glory. It's massive. But in the Premier League era, he was brilliant every single season. He definitely is one of the best. And I think, again, an argument to be the best Premier League midfielder of all time. Number 3, it's that man, Kevin De Bruyne. Now, I am going to put him in this list because I think Kevin De Bruyne has just a unique quality. There is something about Kevin De Bruyne that maybe a lot of other midfielders, as good as they have been, can't do. And he's an alien. He's a freak in this kind of genre, that he has an ability to paint a picture in his mind and execute it. It's one thing seeing a pass. It's another thing executing that pass. We see it with midfielders throughout time. Great passers of the ball, but maybe didn't have that picture in their head. We see someone who's got a great picture in their head, but maybe couldn't execute it. And I'll give you some examples. Bruno Fernandes, lovely pictures in his head, but does he always execute it? Maybe not. And then you've got players like Beckham, like Scholes, great pictures in their head, great execution, But the level that De Bruyne does it, it's alien. It's weird. The passes that he sees, I don't think anyone sees. And you know, when you're watching a game on TV, you've got loads of time, you've got loads of you've got your peripheral, you see the pitch from a different angle than these players do. It's less intense. When you watch a midfielder pick a pass out that you didn't even see on TV, that's another level. And I think Kevin De Bruyne can do that, and he's done that for years. So yeah, for what he's won, personal accolades, but in terms of the team as well, he's won it all, been brilliant, and an alien. Number 2, Paul Scholes. The reason I actually use the word alien there is because I was watching Jimmy Bullard talk about players that he played against, that he said, there's another level to top players. You see top players and you hear about them, you play against them and think, oh, they're very good. But then there is another bracket that some players exist in, and Paul Scholes was one of the people he mentioned. A lot of people talk about it, and actually I was listening to Joey Barton talk about it, how he came up against Paul Scholes and thought, do you know what, I'm going to do him. And he kept going in, trying to get in and get tight, and Paul Scholes kept popping the ball off. And he thought, do you know what, I'm not going to go this time. I'm going to wait, because he's just gonna pop the ball off. He ran in and just kind of went, oh, do you know what? I'm going to just hold back. Scholes' turn, and ping the ball over his head. Scholes has a different. He's a different player. He's a player who keeps tempo. He was a player who developed throughout his career from a goal-scoring midfielder, someone who would get in the box and grab goals, to someone who was deeper lying, maybe a little bit more defensive-minded, sitting and just dictating play. The ability for a player to do that, and I watched it with Ryan Giggs as well later in his career, but the ability for a player to do that, the tempo, the technique, the accuracy of passes, to do it consistently at the ages he was doing it as well, it's unbelievable. Scored big goals. One of the most sweetest strikes you'll ever see is a Paul Scholes goal, and he's got a catalogue of them. Over 100 goals in the Premier League, which is ridiculous. Once again, for a central midfielder, it has to be on there. Paul Scholes, unbelievable. Number 1 for me, now you can tell me whatever you want to say, but I'm a Man United fan, and Steven Gerrard is the best Premier League midfielder of all time. He had everything. He was a player that I think different from these other players that I've listed. You know, he had the passing range, he had the ability to shoot, score, and also play as a deep line 6, but he had the physicality. He had pace. He had monstrous pace. He could burst past players, drive with the ball, but then get on the end of things, score and defend. He had everything. He's maybe one of the most complete midfielders of all time. Again, another person that I could say he's a great captain, a leader, and yeah, a phenomenal midfielder. And I think the longer we go on, the further we go on past the Steven Gerrard retirements, the Paul Scholes retirements, the Frank Lampard retirements, the more we seem to forget just how good these players were and what they've won. You look at their accolades on an individual basis, and then you look at the way that they drove their team to achieve these massive trophies, these tournaments that they go into in a Champions League, and drag them through the group stages. And then when it's a knockout, when it's all going to go to pot, they score a late goal. Scholes did it, Lampard did it, Gerrard did it. I don't think we should forget how good these players were. Right, we have got some big European games coming up this week. Talking of big European nights, I have got a couple of players to have a look out for. I thought I'd give you a little bit of a heads up. Now, this will come out on Wednesday, so you're probably hearing this on a Wednesday, at which point the first game, which was the Arsenal versus Real Madrid game, may have gone. I'm going to tell you to look out for someone, and if he plays, this guy will change your life. Raul Asensio is the new up-and-coming centre-back for Real Madrid. He doesn't start every game, but he's really putting together a couple of performances. He's 22, just turned 22 years old, and he looks like the next big thing. He's just graduated from the Real Madrid B team into the first team this season, and I think he's going to be Real Madrid's next first choice centre-back for a long, long time. Keep an eye out for him. And also, you got the PSG game against Villa. Now, this is a massive game. Everyone's seen PSG who wouldn't normally see PSG because of the Champions League fixture against against Liverpool, sorry. But there is a player who I think does go under the radar. Now, listen, you'll talk about Barcola, and I'm glad you do. You'll talk about Doué, great. You'll talk about Dembele, what a phenomenal season for it. Scalia, Vitinha, finally, people are talking about him. The guy that's kind of going under the radar is Nuno Mendes. At 22 years old, I think he has got a very, very good shout to be the best left-back in the world currently. DeMarco aside, I think Nuno Mendes has got that got that shout. He's going to be a top left back, but he already is. He's such a young player, but great technical player. I love players who are just so comfortable on the ball, particularly from fullback positions, because they're so pressed these days. They don't really get much time on the ball. But Nuno Mendes, back, forward, can take balls in kind of tight situations, can create. He's a top fullback, and definitely keep an eye out for him in that game. Lyon versus Man United is on the Thursday. If you're a Man United fan, or if you're just looking to try and watch a game where Man United get beat again, have a look out for Ryan Cherki. He is a player who came through at such a young age at Lyon. I remember watching him quite a few times back in the early days of League One, or when I would watch League One, Ligue 1, if you want us to do the French pronunciation. I loved him. I thought he was such a great player to watch. He's a player who just expressed himself every time he went out on the pitch. He's a player who you kind of look to produce a piece of skill that gets the crowd on their feet. But he was such a young... He was 16 when he was coming through, 15 and 16. You know, there's a lot of things that he needed to improve on. And I think he's starting to do that. He's so comfortable with the ball at his feet, but he's now putting together goals, assists, 27 goals, by the way, and assists in all competitions this season. To get 27 goal contributions from a wing position is top level. And he's doing that for Lyon. He's doing it in the Europa League. He's doing it in his home domestic league as well. And he's also doing it on the international stage. So have a look out for him. 22 years old now, but a player that I think, 21 years old now, a player that I think he's got another level. Like, he's not reached his ceiling. He just keeps getting better. And I think if he doesn't get a move this summer, I'd be very surprised. Tottenham against Frankfurt. Obviously, Frankfurt lost Omar Mamouche to Man City. He was their standout player. He was a player that was... he was scoring unbelievable amounts of goals. He was competing with Harry Kane at the time and doing a decent job. But the new person to take over is Hugo Ekitike. He moved from PSG not long ago. He's at Frankfurt, and he's now putting together some good performances. 27 goal contributions in all competitions, just like Ryan Cherki that we've been talking about there. He is a player that looks like he's got an eye for goal and finally got a run of form. He needed confidence, and he's definitely a confidence player. Have a look out for him. If Spurs are going to get stung, it's probably going to be him. There's the final game that I want to talk about, obviously from a British persuasion, Rangers versus Bilbao. If you're a Rangers fan, if you're just looking to watch them get beat and you're a Celtic fan, have a look out for Oyhan Sansei. Now, Oyhan Sansei has been injured of late, but he is just coming back in to the team. He got a couple of minutes, I think 20 minutes at the weekend. If he's fit and firing, Rangers need to look out, because he is a difference maker. This season, he's been unbelievable. He put together an unbelievable little run of games. I think it was like 10 games, and he kept scoring every single week. He's now got 17 goal contributions in all competitions for them. From a midfielder, he looks top bracket. Keep an eye out for him. I'm a little bit disappointed that I'm going to have to watch the Man United game and I don't get to watch the Tottenham game and the Rangers Bilbao game, because I'd have loved to see these guys play. Let's do my team of the week. My team of the week is the part of the show where I only give you players that I've seen play live for 90 minutes. No match of the day highlights, no opinions from Twitter, actual, genuine, sat there, watch them, give you my opinion type players. In goal, Milas Svila was outstanding in the game for Roma against Juve at the weekend. I thought it's one of those things where a player, a goalkeeper, it's a big game. There's going to be a lot of tight situations where you'd expect him to make saves, but there was a chance where I did not expect him to make a save. And I think it was Nico Gonzalez headed it and he's tipped it onto the bar. It's one of the saves of the season, honestly. Go and watch it if you haven't seen it. It's a phenomenal save. But he is just off the back of 12 clean sheets this season. 16 games now, Roma are unbeaten under Claudio Ranieri. Roma putting together a really good run of form, and he's been at the heart of it. Some great performances from him this season, and another one against Juve at the weekend. Right back. Why is he doing this? Why is Diogo Dalot all of a sudden, after all of the slating that we've all given him, and rightly so because he's been terrible, why is he now turning around just as the summer's approaching and the talk of a new right back coming in is going? He's now all of a sudden picked up and he looks like a real right back. His touches, his passes, his neat, intricate 1-2s and getting down the wing and actually making decent decisions. What is going on with Diogo Dalot? He's playing like the player that he was last season. And this is the player that we want to see. I think the thing with Diogo Dalot was we're so frustrated by him because we know the level that he can achieve. But some of his decisions this season, I mean, honestly, he's got half a brain. But last 2, 3, 4 games, he's been really, really good. The City game at the weekend, very good once again. Centre back, I'm going to go with Pierre Kalulu. Again, another player from the Roma-Juve game. Thought he was really great. Juve pressed so high onto that Roma side. And Kalulu at times was playing right wing, attacking midfield. It was weird, but he was doing a really great job and made a really, really great last-ditch tackle right at the end as well to make sure that Roma didn't nick it. So yeah, he's in there. Alongside him, a player that's doing really, really well, I think, for his first season, considering the pressure, Lenny Yoro is deciding that he is a Man United player now. You can see he feels like he fits there, that he's at home, and I think the United fans are accepting him. His teammates are accepting him, and I think Ruben Amorim has got a lot of trust in him. He's a player that we really needed at Man United, where you've got a player in central defence who needs to break lines with passes. We struggle with that so much, or we put all the pressure onto one of our central midfielders because our centre-backs can't pass out effectively from the back, which means you're then sat there with a press against one midfielder. A lot of times it's been Kobbie Mainoo who's been doing that press, Casemiro, and they get caught on the ball and the ball gets turned over. What I really like about Lenny Yoro is that he makes those passes through the lines. He's not playing that easy pass and stitching up a midfielder. He's playing it through the lines, maybe to a striker or to a winger, and I love that from him. I think he has got a really big future ahead of him. Now, bear in mind, Lenny Yoro has now just gone his 12th game in a row without being dribbled past. These stats, I know they seem like nothing stats, but they're massive for someone who actually was under such criticism for getting dribbled past consistently in that Southampton game by Kamaldeen Sulemana. He was getting absolutely ripped apart. That did something to him, and he's talked about it in an interview really openly with Rio Ferdinand, and something's changed, and since then it shows that, because 12 games in a row without being dribbled past is top draw for a centre-back that is a lot of the time getting exposed, let's be honest. Left back, I think this guy has been the best fullback in the league this season. It's Jed Spence. I think he's been Tottenham's best player. I think he's got a very, very good argument to be called the best left back in the league this season, even despite where Tottenham are. I think he can play on the left-hand side. He can play on the right-hand side. You can give him the ball in tight spaces under pressure. He's press resistant. He passes at the right time. He makes great tackles. He's quick. He's strong. He's resilient. He's physical. He's got a great mentality. I could go on and on about this guy. There is something about Jed Spence that makes me want to hate him, but what a player. Like, his attitude, his arrogance is so perfect. You need that. In this Tottenham side, if you didn't have that, he'd get eaten alive. I think he's the only player that's excelled this season and has deserved to wear that Tottenham shirt this season, if we're honest. He's been brilliant. Jed Spence probably gets a lot of criticism, but I have no idea why. He's a fantastic, fantastic player. Central midfielder, Pedri. You know, with some midfielders, you just don't need goals and assists. You don't need them. You don't need goal contributions in a direct form. You just need to sit there and watch them play and just go, wow. Because Spain produced these players, and Pedri is another one that it feels like Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, and I'll give you those examples because they're ex-Barcelona midfielders, but those players made the game look simple. Iniesta obviously would get on the end of things and maybe get some goals and assists. Xavi would keep the team ticking and Busquets would keep the team ticking. What Pedri does in tight spaces going forward is nothing short of a joke. What he is maybe one of the... I think he's the best dribbling midfielder without actually doing anything that I've ever seen. Like, you know, when you watch a player, I'll give you the example of Jude Bellingham. When he's dribbling, he's driving the game forward. With Pedri, it's like he's just dribbling out of tight spaces. And with the game kind of switching nowadays to such high presses and intense presses and physical and all out running, pressing, you need a player who can take the ball and just relax and calm the whole team. Pedri, you give him the ball anywhere, he keeps it, and that is so important. So his goals and assists aren't going to be great, but when you watch him passing the eye test, he passes that eye test. Watch him play if you don't watch him play, because if you just look at him on a team sheet and you look at his statistics, you're never going to take any notice of him. But if you watch Pedri live in the moment, watching him play, just play a cam him and watch how good he is. He is something else, honestly, something else. And I think he's probably the best midfielder in the world at the moment, genuinely. Central midfield alongside him, James Maddison. James Maddison gets so much hate and so much stick, and I liken it to Bruno Fernandes at Man United. He's one of those players and personalities where he will take the responsibility. He is such an easy target when people don't appreciate how much he actually gives Tottenham. What he does and what he has done since he's joined the Premier League at Leicester and at Tottenham, he's got goals, he's got assists, he's got goal contributions. He makes something happen. Yeah, it's not going to work out every single time, but that's the nature of the position he plays and the style of player he is. He's trying things, and if you don't have those creative sparks, you're never going to score a goal. You need to take risks, and Bruno Fernandes does it at Man United, and James Maddison does it at Tottenham. I think for anyone who just doesn't understand the game, they kind of look at it and see Maddison give the ball away and go, oh, Maddison again giving the ball away. Well, what about the time he didn't give the ball away and slotted someone in? What about the time when he took it past two players and slotted it in the bottom corner? You know, these players, you need them. You've got some players that are going to be steady eddies in the midfield. James Maddison, Bruno Fernandes, these types of players are going to try things. They're going to take risks. And I think people need to lay off him a little bit, because even this season, with Tottenham being absolutely dreadful, his numbers are still great. So, yeah, I think he needs a bit of a break, this guy. And then midfield, finishing off, Jamal Musiala, going off with a hamstring injury just before their massive Champions League tie. It is gutting for him. But the goal he scored at the weekend was... I don't think there's any other player in the world that would score that goal right now. It's the neat, tidy feet, and it's the power with zero backswing to get it past the goalkeeper quick. He's flashed it past him out of absolutely nothing. He's probably the best tight controlling, ball carrying midfielder in the world right now. And there's a theme to this week, because everyone's great ball carriers, James Maddison even as well. But Musiala is probably the best. He's a player that doesn't seem to lose the ball, but always seems to find space. He's a player that I think if Bayern were going to go through and do well in this competition, I think they really needed. With him injured, I don't fancy him. I think he's going to be that big of a miss. I don't know how long he's set to be out for, but when he pulled up at the weekend, the first thing he said to his teammates was hamstring. I could see him say hamstring, and that looks like it's going to be a while with the end of the season approaching fast. I don't know if he's going to get back. Right wing, Jacob Murphy, watched him tonight, scored a couple of goals, and probably Newcastle's unsung hero. He's having a brilliant season. Just so you know, for a 30-year-old, obviously, you know, he's had a long career now. He's been in and out of different teams, maybe not played at the highest level. But he's on 20 goals and 20 assists combined this season for Newcastle. That's top level. Jacob Murphy, like 20 goals and assists, goal contributions from a right winger. And obviously everyone's going to look at Newcastle and think, well, where do we strengthen there? Right wing is the obvious option. But 20 goals and assists in a season, you got to do something to replace that. You're going to have to go and spend 50 to 100 million to replace that. And he's right there. I think and he always seems sound. He just seems like such a great lad, always smiling, always happy to be there. You know, just seems like a great person. Left wing, Morgan Rogers. 23 goal contributions for Morgan Rogers this season. Scored again at the weekend against Forest. He's a good finisher. And that first touch for the goal that he scored was top notch. It was composed, but it was clinical. That first touch has to be nailed, and he just nails it with the outside of his foot, takes it on, slots the ball underneath the goalkeeper and wheels away and scores. I think, Morgan Rogers will probably come away from this season as Villa's best player this season. I think if Villa do get through this next round against PSG, it's a big if, but if they do, it'll be because of Morgan Rogers, because he's a difference maker. He's a goal scorer, he's a goal creator, and he is a goal threat no matter where he is on the pitch. You can give him the ball in his own half and he's a threat to goal because of how quick he can turn and how quick he can attack the defence and get the ball moving. So I think if Villa get through this week, I don't know. Obviously, it's two legs. This week's going to be massive. I think I fancy them a little bit at home at Villa Park, but if they're going to go to Paris and beat them, I think it'll be down to Morgan Rogers. He's got to have the game of his life, and Villa's hopes probably are all pinned on him. Finishing off this team of the week, striker Rodrigo Muniz. I think there's a player there. I really think there's a player there. He's 23 years old, but he's already showing signs that he could be a top player. Like, not just like good, but that touch past Van Dijk, just to flick it past him, made him look like a dickhead. Walked past him and blasted it underneath Kelleher. I loved that. And I loved it because it was against Liverpool. But already this season, for example, like last season, he got, I think, 9 goals last season. He's now on 8 goals, but he barely starts. Raul Jimenez has been starting for the majority under Marco Silva. Obviously, he put together a really nice run at the end of last season, but this season, he's doing it again. And I think there's a player there. He's 23 years old, obviously Brazilian. You expect big things from a young Brazilian striker, but I think he's putting together something. And if Fulham don't keep an eye out, he'll go, because if they don't play him, it's going to be a lot of teams that will look at Rodrigo Muniz and think, but you know what, we need a striker who can get us 10, 15 goals a season, and he's definitely one of those players. And I think he could do more as well, because he's got everything to his game. He's got lovely first touches, but he's got a great finish on him. He's composed, and yeah, like I said, to do that to one of the best centre halves in the league, that was great. Brilliant. Weekend treble time. Right, let's round the show off. Really disappointing week last week, and I feel like I'm saying that every week at the moment. We lost by a goal once again. A loss by one selection. It feels like every week we are getting beat by one selection. It was £10 on, and it was only 20 something back, 25 back, and it missed by one goal. This one this week will not miss. Don't worry, I've got you covered. First selection, Villa over 1.5 goals against Southampton. Monaco versus Marseille, both teams to score. Bayern, Dortmund, both teams to score. £10 on, £34 and 67 pence back. We need it. We do need it, because it's a worrying little run coming towards the end of the season when we were so far ahead. You know, 3 weeks ago we won a couple of times, 2 out of 3 weeks. So that's kept our head above water. We're now down to £43.74. So we need a big win, because I do not want to get rid of this profit, and I want to end the season on a profit. So stick with me this season. I will be back next week, next Wednesday, and every Wednesday until the end of the season. Thank you once again for watching. Have a great week.